all believers, we are transformed into new creations. And so we are to reflect the love and mercy of Jesus Christ to the people. We want them to know that we are different from this, from unbelievers, right? So that should be the foundation of who we are. We are to reflect and living out gospel. Which is actually really good because it attracts people, because they will notice, oh, that person it's something different about that person. I want to get to know why is that person always smiling? Why is that person always joyful? I want to know. And then they will come to you, and then maybe you will have a chance to share the gospel with them. And some believers, some Christians think if they're very introverted, like me, it's really hard for us to go out and share the gospel. So they're thinking, oh, if I'm just being nice to people and show that I'm different, and then if they want to, I can just bring them to church. And I think that's enough of what I can do. But I think it's actually really important to share verbally the message of the gospel to people. Because if you look at Romans chapter 10, verse 14, it says, how then can they call on him they have not believed in? And how can they believe without hearing about him? Right? So, you don't have to share a gospel with every person you meet, right? You can't share the gospel with a cashier or like at the coffee shop, But personally, my experience was that God will bring things together. Like he makes the situation. He brings people to me. And then if you catches that moment and then you share the gospel, and it becomes really effective, So, I have had several occasions like that. I was just studying in the public library. And then, this Filipino lady approached me, and she's like, oh, can you help me with the resume? She's trying to write a resume for her new job because she recently lost her job. So I was like, I can help you. So I helped her for 2 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And she was so grateful for what I have done for her. And I said, oh, I have a message that I want to like to share. And she was ready. She was just ready to hear what I have to say, because she was so thankful, So I shared the gospel with her. So those kind of things God brings into you, God is already been working in people, and we just have to notice it, realize it, and then participate in it. One of the assignments that I give to my students is called observation diary, which is that they are to participate in the conversation that God already has started. There's a book called, I forgot the title of the book, but actually that's what it's talking about, that we are to participate in the conversation that God already have started. So I asked my students to, once a week, they have to go talk to people they encounter. So maybe a cashier or a coworker, and anybody. It kind of pushes them out of their comfort zone because they're like, I have to do this assignment. So they go out and they engage in this conversation with people. And to their surprise, there are people who respond. It's very surprising for them. We might think, oh, this person is not gonna talk to me about their private life or personal life or whatever. But once they engage in conversation, they get surprised because they actually really open up. And they share that with me on their paper, and they're like, I didn't expect this to happen, but this is what happened, and I get so excited for that, and I have a couple students who engage in this conversation with just one particular person throughout the whole semester. Which is actually really great because they get to really know that person, and they build a relationship with that person. And at the end of the semester, they actually had a chance to share the gospel with that person. So we can't share a gospel message to every cashier we encounter, but if you say hi to them and try to engage in conversation with the cashier for a whole week or a whole month or even a year, that person will notice you, right?
For sure.
And they will be curious about you, and they want to engage in conversation with you, and they will open up the opportunity for you to share the gospel message. So I actually really enjoy reading their assignments.
Oh, yeah. That was one of my favorite things out of the class. Like you said, it kind of forces us to go out and actually start talking to them about the gospel a little bit. And I know I shared in a couple of mine that you probably read where we had some plumbers that came by recently.
Right.
And I found out at least a few of them were believers, but I never would have truly known that if I didn't spend the time talking to them and just getting to know them a little bit too. So it does help open up that door of every opportunity is there to be able to share the gospel with others.
Right.
So I think it's a really good thing to have in the class. Beyond traditional outreach methods, what are some contemporary models of evangelism that you would say are effective in culture today? Or maybe you could at least divulge between the two of those.
Okay. So when we hear the word traditional, we tended to think it's old-fashioned, like it's not effective, we need to look for the contemporary methods, because it's new and better. But there's really not which one is better or which one is not. Because we have to look at the Bible and see what the Bible tells us. So there are some good things about traditional methods, and there are some good things about contemporary methods, and also bad things about, both.
Sure, yeah.
But I think it really depends on the people that you're trying to reach. Like you have to really get to know the person or the people group first, and to see which methods was more effective. So for young people, for me, like if I want to communicate with our youth kids at our church, I usually text message them. They don't like when somebody calls you. Right? They never pick up the phone.
Or email is just not even on the table.
No. So I, direct message them on Instagram, or I text message them. So sometimes I don't get no response, and that's okay. But I just want to let them know that I still care for them and I still pray for them. And it's been really effective, like they really understand how much I care. So whenever I text message somebody who hasn't coming to church for a while, and then later on he says, like, oh, like I understand how much you care for me. You've been keeping touching with me, but my message wasn't like a big, long, it's just like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on these days? Even though there's no response, I keep, sending those short messages to them. And I think that's very good way of sharing Jesus' love and to show how much we care for that person.
Yeah.
And that might not work for the different people, like for maybe older generations, they actually like to have person come in and talk in person. So we can go and actually see them, or giving a phone call, or even writing a letter,
Oh, yeah.
You think, writing a letter is such a old, fashioned way, but I think it can be really good because they don't really get personal letters anymore. All they get is bills and, advertisement on their mailbox. But occasionally if they get, personal handwritten letter, it might touch their heart, So there isn't really which method is better or not. But if you genuinely know that person, really understand that person, and figure out what will work for that person, I think that would be really good.
Yeah, no, that's really good insight. Yeah, get to know the people, and then from there it'll help you continue to have that outreach. One of the things that I was thinking of is we've talked about like being on missions and even potentially long-term missions now. And I know you've had some insight on all of this. What would you say might be some of the maybe the ups and downs or the struggles that people might face if they're going on these long-term missions.
Mm-hmm. So I was a missionary teacher in Japan for 2 years. So I basically teach at an international Christian school. And then some of the teachers there, they do Bible study with Japanese people and all that. One thing that I've noticed is that lack of training. Like for me, I didn't have that much Bible knowledge to have this Bible study group with people. So if you want to be a long-term missionary, you should study the Bible inside and out.
Yes, yeah.
And also understand and learn how to implement the Bible study group with people. And another thing is your own personal spiritual life. Even though I was a missionary teacher there and I should be keeping up with the Word of God and praying, but I didn't. So my spiritual reality was just down the drain. I wasn't keeping a close relationship with God. And that was a big mistake that I had that eventually made me come back to America because I couldn't continue. So those kind of things we have to be aware. We need to learn how to spiritually sort of growing us and keeping that relationship with God and know the Word of God. And if you don't do those kind of things, if you are out in the mission field, it's really not so much of the work that you do, the ministry that we do, it will wear you out, but then the relationship with people will wear you out.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, a lot of missionaries, they quit their ministry and come back to their hometown because of conflicts they have with other missionaries.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Not the people who are there, other missionaries, because they have a different ideas what they want to do, and they didn't resolve their conflicts. They didn't bring that problem to Jesus Christ, but they try to solve the problem on their own, and it didn't work out, so which is really sad reality, because it doesn't really show good example to the people group in that country. If the missionaries are fighting each one another, but it does happen. And even like marriage problems, if the wife didn't have the same vision as the husband, then she might struggle a lot being in that country, so those kind of things we have to be aware, and that it's not so much the work. Again, we shouldn't be task oriented too much, because it's always about our sanctification. We are to grow. Even missionaries, they are to grow, and they think, I'm probably speaking for myself. When I went to Japan, I thought, I'm fully mature Christian. I'm here to share the gospel with these people, but I wasn't. I was very prideful, but then we all have to aware of our weaknesses, and that we constantly need to be in relationship with God, and we have to. That's the fight. That's the fight, with yourself. It's not about fighting with other missionaries or the people there. It's about you constantly struggle with your, and bring it that to God, your struggles.
Oh, that's really good. I know we probably only got maybe a minute or two left. Is there any final thoughts or a word of encouragement you'd like to share with future students?
Yeah, so I hope the word missions don't scare people away. When as I said, when they hear the word mission, they all immediately think about mission trips, but it's really not that. You can be a missionary in your own life context, if you share the gospel with people. I have one of our youth kids in our church. She's in high school, but she does nails for people, and I tell her, you don't have to necessarily share the gospel message with the customers that you have. but at least what you can do is you can offer to pray for them. If they look like they're struggling, so small things that we can do, and maybe they will lead you into sharing the gospel. We always have to remember God is always working. He's already working, and we are participating